A few years ago, the World Barista Championship, the biggest stage in coffee, changed one of its oldest rules. For the first time, competitors didn't have to use just cow's milk. And now the best baristas on earth are showing up with blending milk. Oat with pistachio, plant with dairy. Chasing flavors you can't get with just one carton. So alternative milk isn't just an option anymore. It's a flavor tool. But the problem is, each one behaves and tastes completely different. And most people just grab an oat milk and never think about it again. So today, I'm testing 5 of them. With a coffee that tastes wildly fruity, reminds me of something like blueberry. And I'll show you exactly why. Each one does what it does, so you actually know which one to reach for. So here's oat, soy, almond, coconut, and dairy. And a bottle of whiskey. It's not competing. Just in case if anyone of this goes wrong, it's my therapist. I'm not an alternative milk guy myself. I usually prefer black coffee or a filtered coffee. I've got no favorite I'm rooting for, so it'll be a fair fight. But the coffee matters. Today I'm using a blend coffee from Yunnan anaerobic washed and an Ethiopian washed. By the coffee itself, it tastes intensely fruity. Something like blueberry is jammy and sweet with a light tea finish. And those flavors is what I'm looking for in those milk beverages. Does each milk lift it, flatten it, or fight it? I'm judging by texture and taste, how the milk steams and holds a pour, and how it works with the coffee flavors itself. 5 marks each, and 10 marks in total. Before we taste anything, let's make some coffee and see how each milks behave itself. Alright, coconut first. This is the only one of the 5 that basically won't foam at all, which you saw in the montage. It is thin, it's watery, and it's sad. And here's why. Foam needs protein and fat to build and hold the structure. Protein wraps around the air bubbles and lock them in, which this kind of coconut milk has almost none of either. So the air has nothing to hold on to. It collapses. And it's taste time. I can still taste the blueberry here. It is not very sweet. The blueberry flavor actually blends quite well with the coconut flavor. And the aftertaste, the coconut comes out more pronounced. But the texture is just too watery. But to be fair, it's not a barista edition coconut milk. I've had genuinely very good coconut coffee before, so with a barista edition coconut milk, it might perform much better. But for now, for this one, I'll give the texture a 1 and the taste actually quite nice. It's decent. I'll give it a 3, so total is 4 marks. Almond is the second one. It foams up fine naturally. But the foam and the liquid just won't integrate together. Like, they're not the same drink. Because almond milk is basically water with a little bit of almond. There's barely any protein in it and barely any fat. It still can whip up some foam, but there's not enough protein for the foam and the liquid to bind together to create microfoam. And taste-wise, I can barely taste any blueberry in this drink. The nuttiness from the almond is too much for the coffee. It's like fighting against each other. And the texture is just too watery. It's even more watery than the coconut one. So the texture, I'm just gonna give it a 1. And for the taste, I'm also giving it a 1. So it just get 2 in total. And I need a quick therapy session. Soy is third, and I'll have a sip first for this one. Flavor wise, this one's lovely, but for the texture, the foam's clummy, which you can see in the montage. It won't stay smooth. It's actually because soy has more protein than dairy, and the protein in soy is fragile. When it hits hot acidic espresso, or when it gets a bit too hot while steaming, the protein curdles and clumps together. Same reason why soy might split in a hot coffee. It's great protein for nutrition, but it's not that good for coffee. Taste-wise, it blends very well with the coffee itself. I can taste pronounced blueberry flavor, and I got a little bit of soy flavor in it. It blends quite well. And for the aftertaste, the soy comes through a little bit more. But overall, it tastes quite well. Texture-wise, it's quite creamy. I'll give it a 3 out of 5. And for taste, I think it get a 4 out of 5. So total, it got 7. Here comes oat milk, most people's favorite. Yeah, I can tell why. It's thick, it's creamy, it holds beautifully. But why it works despite low protein? Barista Edition oat milk is mostly engineered. Added stabilizers, plus the oat's own dissolved starches mimics what fat and protein do in dairy. That's the difference between a barista oat and a plain one. And that's exactly why the plain coconut flopped and this didn't. And the taste is actually very good taste. The blueberry is actually very pronounced here. Then the oats come in on the finish. It's naturally sweet. They integrate really nicely together. And the texture is so good. It's almost as good as a dairy. So texture-wise, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. And then the taste is actually also a 4 out of 5. So it total get 8 out of 10. It's quite nice. And last, regular dairy as a control. It's fatty, it's creamy, it's naturally sweet. It holds everything. That's why it's the benchmark. Dairy has all three at once. Stable casein protein that builds foam. Fat for the creamy mouthfeel and clarifies the flavor. And natural lactose sweetness. No other milk is having the full set naturally. The whole drink tastes like a blueberry milkshake. But for me, it's a little bit too much milk. The milk is getting more than the blueberry flavor. So I can see why competitors are blending dairy or different milks together. I can get the texture of full cream milk and also get the flavor of maybe coconut milk to enhance the coffee flavor itself. But it's really good. I'm gonna give the texture a 5 out of 5. And the taste, I think it's the 4 out of 5. So it total get a 9 out of 10. So here's the final ranking from worst to best. For last place, Almond with 2 points. It foams, but it won't integrate. And the nuttiness for the blueberry flavor. It's just not my type of drink. And the fourth place comes to coconut with 4 points. The texture is watery, but the taste is decent. Well, it's not a Barista Edition milk, so it might get a rematch someday. And the third place, it is soy with 7. It surprisingly blends very well with the flavor, but the foam curdles and it kills the texture. And top 2 is oat and dairy, which dairy takes it with 9 points. It's the benchmark. It tastes like warm blueberry milkshake, and nothing else quite beat it. But oat is surprisingly very close to dairy. I'm actually a little bit lactose intolerant myself, so I'll take an oat latte happily. Here's the whole thing in one sentence. Coconut won't foam. Almond foams, but it won't blend in flavor. Soy foams, but it curdle. And oat just quietly does everything, because it's the one that's actually engineered too. So the key takeaways for this video is that the milk sets your ceiling, but your technique decides how close you get. Like those champions blending milks, once you know how each one behaves, you can actually start using them on purpose for flavor instead of just defaulting to one. If you want to get your pour consistent, the steaming, the texture, the why behind all of this, that's the whole thing I teach in my online course. Link in the description. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe for coffee stuff that's actually honest. And tell me one thing in the comment. What milk or what brand of milk actually tastes good in coffee? I know there's great barista coconut milk out there, and I want to find it. I'll read all of the comments and I'll reply. But for now, I think I'll drink the rest of this